Hello, everyone. Today I am celebrating my 6 months of sobriety, which is crazy because I did not think that I would make it this far. But to celebrate, I wanted to make this video and also do a Q&A about my journey. I had asked for my 4 months on my Instagram story if any of you guys had any questions about my sobriety journey, like anything that you guys wanted to know. And I got so many questions and I made sure to save them so that I can get to it later. And I wanted to do a YouTube video because I got so many that I really wanted to answer them in depth, just so that you guys can get a true in-depth explanation about my journey, about how it's been for me, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. So I'm just gonna get straight into it and answer all the questions that you guys had asked me. Okay, so the first question that I got was, what's been the most challenging part of your sobriety journey? And if I'm being honest, let me put my phone down because I have a lot to say about this one. I definitely wanted to do this one as the first one because I feel like I'm gonna go very in depth about this one, so be ready. I definitely think the most challenging part for me on my sobriety journey has definitely been navigating my intense emotions. The whole reason why I started smoking from a young age, 14, 15. I say 14, 15 because I was a freshman in high school when I started, so I can't remember if I started the beginning of the year or the following year because my birthday is at the end of the year. But I started smoking because I was a really sad teenager and I did not know how to handle and navigate my intense emotions. So from the first point that I started smoking, and my baseline prior to that was like a really depressed, sad little girl. And when I smoked for the first time, I experienced this euphoric feeling of just being happy, being laughing, just experiencing such a uplifting feeling that I didn't experience on a daily basis. I wanted to latch onto that feeling and never feel anything less than that again. And growing up, I was never taught how to navigate my emotions. I grew up in a Hispanic household, and I'm Colombian and Dominican. And I grew up in a Hispanic household, and my family was kind of, and I think this is a thing in Hispanic households, it's very known that talking about your emotions, going to a therapist is deemed as crazy, or talking about your emotions, it's just not like a known thing. Like, you don't really learn that in your family. And I know maybe it's the same way in other cultures, but like for me, I wasn't really taught how to navigate my intense emotions. Whenever I would feel angry or really, really sad, it was kind of like pushed to the side, or it's kind of like, we don't talk about that, like it wasn't really taught that, hey, you're feeling something intense, let's talk about it. Why are you feeling this way? This is a safe place, so growing up, I wasn't really taught that. And I was also taught to suppress my emotions and kind of get through it in a way where it's like, oh, you're feeling mad or you're feeling sad, like, it's okay, get up, like, it's a new day. So I was kind of just taught to like really push my emotions to the side and like keep it going, which I think had a lot to do with the fact that I grew up with a single mom, and she was I was taught a lot of like hyper independence. So I think it kind of like played hand in hand in that, and like, you got to keep going, you got to keep moving. So yeah, I just wasn't really taught to navigate my intense emotions. So I feel like that's definitely been my most challenging part of this journey, is navigating my intense emotions. And when I tell you it's been a struggle, it has been a struggle, especially because I have been going through a breakup within the past couple of months. I've been going through a breakup of a 4-year relationship. So going through that on top of being sober, I feel like these past couple months has been the most difficult time along this journey for me, because going through a breakup is an experience within itself. So going through a breakup plus being sober, double homicide. Like, it's been the most intense experience for me. So I feel like just navigating that alone, just navigating my intense emotions, because I genuinely still don't know how to navigate it. I'm learning along the way. I've obviously been taught. I went to therapy for about a year and a half. I had 3 different therapists. In a year, I did EMDR, I did DBT therapy, I have done a lot of internal shadow work. Like, I've done the work, girl. Like, I've done the work, trust me. Like, I've done a lot of internal work to try to get to a point where I understand myself on a deeper level, but I'm still not at the point where I fully feel like I'm there yet, but I'm getting there. And I'm learning it along the way. Obviously, I wasn't taught that growing up, so it's something that I've had to teach myself. But yeah, I think that's definitely been the most difficult part in my journey is navigating my intense emotions, because I wasn't taught it growing up. And I definitely hold a lot of internal anger. I definitely hold a lot of internal sadness. And I feel like sometimes whenever I'm sad, it comes out as anger, or whenever I am feeling intense emotions and I don't know how to process it, I feel like it makes me angry, or it just makes me go silent and like retreat internally and not really express to people how I'm feeling. So I feel like I'm still navigating those things, but that has definitely been the most difficult and challenging part of my journey this far. Okay, so the second question that I got was, what are the steps that you took to prepare yourself for sobriety? So my answer is kind of going to be a 2-in-1, because I also got another question that was like, give me any tips on how to start your sobriety journey, or did you go cold turkey? So this is kind of going to answer, this answer is going to answer a bunch of different questions. I ended up doing, so I was smoking consistently every single day. And this time last year, like midsummer, is when I started thinking about like going sober. Not going sober fully, because I wasn't there yet, but I just wanted to take a tolerance break, because I was like, I think like I need to like, lay low on it for a little bit. So I wanted to take a tolerance break, but I knew that I couldn't do cold turkey because of how often I was doing it. So instead, I started weaning myself down on it. So I went from doing it every single day to only doing it at nighttime. And then after I got accustomed to only doing it at nighttime, then I went from only doing it at nighttime to only doing it on the weekends. And then I went from only doing it on the weekends to only doing it like occasionally, like here and there. Like I wouldn't purchase it myself, or I wouldn't go out of my way to get it. But like, if I was like in a social setting, I was like, okay, let me do it. But I wouldn't like try to, do it myself or like have it myself, just so that I wasn't feeling tempted. And then after I went from doing it like that, then at that point, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm accustomed to not having it as much. And now I think I can go sober, or like at least have a tolerance break, because that was my original goal. I never wanted to go fully sober. I just wanted to have like a tolerance break for like a month max. That ended up being like the process of me doing it. And I feel like that honestly helped me out the most, because some people can go cold turkey, but for someone who had been doing it for 9 years of my life, since I was 14, 15, I genuinely don't think that I could have gone cold turkey. Kudos to the people who can do that, but like for me, I genuinely didn't think I could. So that's why I started doing it like that, so that I could mentally not feel like it was part of my everyday life. And then once I got to that point, I was like, okay, it's way easier now to wean off of it. So last year I did, in November, end of the year, I did 1 full month of sobriety. And then after that, I went back to smoking, because I was in my luteal phase and I was having a little crash out, and I was like, I need to smoke. So I definitely did. But during that month, I was so proud of myself, and I felt really clear-headed. And I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I want to do this again. And then this year is when I officially decided to go sober fully. Not fully, because I don't know if it's going to be long-term or not. We'll get into that later. But I wanted to go sober for like way longer than a month. And that's when I decided to do it this year in March. And now here we are 6 months later. So that was kind of the way that I did it. And a tip for you guys is to, if you don't think you can do cold turkey, is kind of do it like that, because I personally think it helps you to not feel so attached to it, and to kind of prepare yourself for you not to have it in your life every single day. Okay, so the third question that I got is, how did you deal with anxiety after quitting? So this one is a little difficult to answer, because I feel like personally I would be lying to you if I told you that I was at a point where I felt like I was really content with my anxiety and navigating it. But I am still at the point where I'm still figuring out what's working for me. So I would be lying to you if I told you an answer. But I will say that I've been experimenting with different things and seeing what works for me, because anxiety is one of those things where I personally feel like different things work for different people. I remember when I went to a therapist, I had like 3 therapists in 1 year, but one of the therapists, I went through like EMDR, DBT therapy. I went through like different therapies to try to see which one worked best for me. And some of them worked, some of them didn't. So I feel like it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to anxiety. Like some things work for some people, some things don't. Like I vividly remember one of my therapists told me for my anxiety to like just breathe and count down, and like it was like this exercise where you say 5 things in the room. I can't remember the exercise specifically, but like you kind of like name things in the room kind of so that you can become aware of your surroundings. And I did that. Didn't help whatsoever, especially when you're going through anxiety. I feel like you don't think to breathe. Obviously it's something that is helpful for some people, but for me personally it wasn't. But I will tell you what's been working for me, so that maybe you can experiment with that and see if it works for you. Maybe also at my 1 year mark, I'll have a better answer for you. But for now, I'm just going to tell you what's been working for me, and maybe you can experiment and see if it'll work for you. So the first thing that I've been doing to help me has been walking. I've been incorporating walking in my everyday routine, and walking has helped me a lot. I've been learning a lot about low cortisol workouts and how it affects your mind, and it's been helping me a lot to walk every single day, which is something that I genuinely didn't think that I would enjoy as much as I do. But just walking, even if it's for 5-10 minutes, to like get your mind moving. What's that quote? There's like a specific quote where it says like depression can't hit a moving target or something along those lines, some corny ass quote, but it's so true though, because I feel like whenever I'm feeling anxious or like really like just pent up with so many emotions and I go on a walk, I feel like afterwards I feel more like, you know. So I think walking has definitely been helping me. Journaling, I do morning pages every single day. If you don't know what morning pages are, essentially it's with every single morning when you wake up you write 3 pages, and it's kind of like a brain dump. And that's been helping me a lot, because I feel like it kind of releases all my thoughts in the beginning of a day onto a page, and I start my day with like a fresh canvas in my mind, if that makes sense. So journaling has been helping me a lot. And the last one is just being honest with myself about my feelings and asking for help when I need it. I feel like with my anxiety, whenever I'm feeling really anxious, I tend to not tell people, and I tend to kind of like suppress it and suppress when I'm feeling intense emotions, because I just don't want to be a bother to people, and I don't want to, you know, like it's something that I do where I just don't want to be a bother, and I feel like I just would rather suppress it than like tell people how I'm feeling. But recently I've been learning to really ask for help when I need it, or at least let my loved ones know that like I'm going through a lot right now, and the help is there if needed, you know. And the last thing that I think I could say is that and this is something recently that I've been doing, I've been partaking in yoga nidra. I think that's what it's called. Yoga nidra. Yeah. Yoga nidra. I've been partaking in yoga nidra, and I'll even put like a clip right here of the YouTube video that I've specifically been doing. And this video specifically has been helping me so much. I personally have never heard of yoga nidra prior to this, but recently I learned about it, and it's essentially kind of like a yoga that allows your mind and your nervous system to relax, and it kind of like puts your subconscious to sleep. At least that's the way I understood it. It like puts your subconscious to sleep without putting your body to sleep, if that makes sense. Look into it, do your own research, but yoga nidra is something else that has been working for me personally. But yeah, that's kind of like what's been helping me. I might have a better answer for you at my 1 year update, but I've kind of just been experimenting with different things, because like I said, some things might work amazing for some people, but other things might not work at all. So I would say try out maybe those things, see if they work for you, but if not, just keep trying out different things and see what sticks. Another question I got is, do you still have cravings? Yes. Do I? Just kidding. Yes, no, like all honesty aside, all jokes aside, I definitely like do have cravings like all the time, babe. Especially recently, this past month, like when I tell you, I've like, there are moments where especially the past couple months that I've been going through this breakup, I have been crashing out at so many different moments where I will think nothing but wanting to smoke. And I think it's definitely taught me a lot about, and it's definitely, well, let me say two things. I'm trying to say two things at once. It's definitely taught me a lot about how strong-willed I am, more than I think I am. And simultaneously, it's been teaching me that, fuck, what was I gonna say? Now that I said the first thing, I forgot the second thing. Oh yeah, it's also been teaching me that I personally, I forgot it again. Memory problem. There's another thing. Oh, yes. Okay, I remember it. It's been teaching me that there's like this huge misconception that whenever you're going sober that you don't have thoughts anymore. Or when I first started this journey, I had so many people tell me like, oh yeah, after month 2 or month 3 or month whatever, blah, blah, blah. Especially like half a year, everyone was like, oh yeah, you'll forget it. It won't even cross your mind. And I've been like waiting to get to that point. I'm like, when is it going to get here? Like, and I promise you, maybe it's a lie, maybe it's not, maybe it does. I do eventually get to that point, but as of right now, half a year, I still have cravings. Yes, I would be lying to you if I told you that I didn't have cravings. I still have cravings. I still constantly want it whenever I'm going through a bad moment. And I think that is also teaching me that I am not ready yet to go back to my vice, because originally, well, I'll answer that in the next question. Well, I guess I can answer it now. So another question I've gotten is, do I plan on going sober forever, or is this just a tolerance break? So I feel like to answer that simultaneously with the original question is that I personally, when I first started this journey, I did not want to go sober forever. That was not my original plan. My original plan has always been to just be able to get to the point where I didn't depend on it so much, and get to the point where whenever I was going through a really intensive emotion, I would not navigate my emotions by smoking. And instead, like my first thought wouldn't be to smoke. And I feel like right now, especially that I still have these cravings, my first thought is still to smoke. So I feel like that tells me that I'm not ready to go back to my vice. And that's kind of like the answer to the question is, do I want to go sober forever? Do I want to just go on a tolerance break? I don't have a specific timeline for this tolerance break. I don't plan, as of right now, as of 6 months. It might change in the future, but as of 6 months, I do not plan on going sober forever. I do want to get to a point like where I partake in Mary Jane in a way that is, here and there, once in a while, like, casually maybe, but not in a way where I depend on it like I did before, not in a way where I use it as an outlet. But as of right now, these are just my thoughts as of right now. Maybe I might change. Maybe I get to the point where I'm like, actually, I don't see myself going back. But from starting the beginning of this journey, I never saw myself being sober forever. But then again, that might change. So as of right now, though, my whole goal with this journey, I didn't have a timeline. My whole goal was to get to a point where I learned how to navigate my emotions and heal from everything that I had gone through for years that I had been suppressing for so long. So I don't really have a timeline. Maybe that's a year. Maybe that's multiple years. Maybe that's next month. Who knows? So I don't know the timeline of it. I don't have a timeline specifically. I just have a goal in mind. And whenever I get to that goal, I'll get to that goal. Maybe I change my mind and I realize that I don't really need to partake in Mary Jane, but as of right now, that's just how I'm feeling. So I guess those are two questions in one. Yes, I still have cravings. And do I plan on staying sober forever? No. And is this just a tolerance break? Yes and no. It's kind of like I don't have really a timeline. I see it as a tolerance break, might change, but I just have a goal in mind. So hopefully that answers all the questions. Okay, another question that I got was, what was the breaking point of making this change? And this one is super straightforward. It was the memory loss. I feel like that was the first thing that really opened up my eyes and took off the rose-colored glasses to seeing like, oh shit, me smoking for all these years, I think it's doing something to my brain. That, or maybe like I was really starting to become self-aware of just how like I wasn't able to do anything without it. But I think definitely the memory loss and seeing it in real life and how it was affecting me, I think that was the breaking point. And let me tell you when it happened and how scary it was for me, because maybe you're experiencing this too, and maybe you don't think it's like this big thing, but baby, let me tell you, it is a big thing, especially if you have, like myself, dementia and Alzheimer's that runs through your family. It's definitely something to think about a little bit further. So for me personally, it would happen where I just genuinely could not remember shit. I could not remember anything. And it was so bad to the point where I would have conversations with family members and I would be like, oh my God, da 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 da, or tell them, like, have a conversation with them, and they would look at me crazy and be like, we already had this conversation. You already told me that story. And I'd be like, what? And I'd like go in my memory log and be like, where is it? Where is it? Like, I don't remember. I don't remember. Starts crying. Like, I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember. And I would feel crazy because I'm like, why don't I remember? Like, there's no way we had this conversation. And they would recite the conversation word by word, or the story word by word, or like event by event. And they knew everything. And I was like, oh my God, I did tell this story before, but I genuinely, and I couldn't even find the memory. Like, after looking through my memory log, I couldn't even find the memory. So it was starting to scare me because I was like, why am I not like remembering things? Why is my memory loss so bad? And I'm only 24 years old. Like, that's scary. And I think the one that really did it for me, where I started crying, and like, I think this one genuinely, like, this one was the one that it was like, all right, yeah, like, I have to do something about this issue. I vividly remember I was having a conversation with someone and I was like, oh my God, we should watch this show together. And it was like a show that had multiple seasons, a show that had multiple episodes. And mind you, like, a conversation is something different. A conversation is something like, oh, maybe it just like slipped my mind. I forgot it, maybe. A show, a series where you watch multiple episodes, like, that's not something you can forget, right? Or so I thought. And I was like, oh my God, we should watch this show together. And they were like, we've already watched that show together. And I was like, no, we haven't. And they're like, yeah, we have. We watched it this date, this date, this date. And I was like, no, we haven't. And like, I took a step back and I was like, have we? And then they reset the show and reset like different episodes. And it like the memory came back to me and I was like, oh shit, we have watched that show. And they looked at me like they had seen a ghost. And I think that was the most scariest part. Like, because a show is like something, like, how can you forget watching a show? Like, even if it's been like years, like, it's still like, you know. And it was like last year, the previous year, that we had watched it, which made it even scarier. And I was genuinely, that day, like, I started crying after that because I was like, oh my God, like, my memory's so bad. I'm laughing now, but it really wasn't a joke. It really wasn't a joke at the time. Like, that shit was scary. It was so scary. And I genuinely think that is the breaking point that did it for me, because I was like, oh my God, like, I genuinely think I'm forgetting stuff. And at first it was like a hee ha ha joke, like, oh, I'm just forgetting stuff. But then it got to the point after the show situation, I was like, oh, this is an actual issue. So I think that is the moment that started, like, you know, turning my gears, where I was like, okay, maybe I need to look into taking a little break from smoking. So that was the breaking point for me. Okay, another question that I got is life really better without the herbs? What's changed? This one's a little tough one, because if I'm being honest, life without the herbs at first is very boring. And that's just the honest truth. When your baseline is smoking all the time and your baseline is this euphoric high, and after you smoke, it makes anything fun. Like, it makes going to the store fun. It makes doing mundane things fun. It makes even having a conversation with someone fun. Going from that to your new baseline being sober, and it's not this euphoric feeling all the time, it's a little it's a little different, you know? It's a little different to navigate life being sober because I think your mind is so used to your baseline being a specific way that when you go from that to nothing, or not shall I say nothing, but to like, well, I guess like essentially nothing, like this really like mundane baseline that's just like all the time. There's no euphoricness. It's a little boring at first, I won't lie. And I think I'm definitely still navigating that. But my way of navigating that has been having new hobbies, using my time more. I definitely have had more time while I've been sober because you just have so much time on your hands to do so many different things. So I've definitely been using that to my advantage in the sense that like now I have so much time to do so many things. I've been trying so many new different hobbies. So I feel like it's forced me in a way to use my time differently. Can I really say right now as of 6 months that it's changed my life for the better in the sense that my life has been more exciting? Yes and no. I think it's been more exciting in a different way. Not in the way where it feels as euphoric, but I feel that being sober is its own drug within itself because you're really getting to know yourself on a deeper level. And I think that's the main difference when I say that. How do I say this? Because I want to be honest. I don't want to say that it's been yes, it has been better, but not in the way that you may think it is. It's not this euphoricness. Like, you're not going to feel euphoric. Like, your baseline is going to be different, but I feel like it's been better in the sense that I've gotten to learn myself on a deeper level that I was not able to when I was not sober. I would have never learned this version of me if I was still sober. And I think that's the way that I see it, so in a better way. But in a way where, do you still feel this euphoricness? Does a sober life feel euphoric? No. It feels boring sometimes, and I'm just being honest with you. It feels boring sometimes, but I will say that I appreciate this version of me because I would have never met this version of me. I would have never wanted to do as many hobbies as I do now. I would have never done so many things that I've done now if I was still smoking all the time. But that's not to say that in the beginning it's not very boring, because it is. And that's just the truth. And I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, so the next question. Okay, another question that I got is, do you ever miss it? I've been smoking for 5 years and this is my second week without it. Or do you miss the person that you were with it? So I answered the first question, which is, do I ever miss it? I already told you guys I did. I do at a lot of different moments. I definitely miss it. Do I ever miss the person I was with it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I can say that, like, truthfully, I do not miss the person I was with it, because that version of me was so blinded to the version of herself that she could really be. And I feel like when you've been smoking for so long, it becomes such a huge part of your identity that you genuinely do not know who you are without it. And I feel like that's who I was. I genuinely did not know who I was without smoking every single day. So I don't miss that version of me, because I feel like that version of me was not fulfilling her potential to the version of me that I am now, where I'm really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm really doing things that I didn't think I could have done before. So I don't miss that version of me. I miss the comfortability of that version of me, because that version of me was very comfortable. She was living a very comfortable life. She was suppressing all of her emotions, and she was not feeling the intensity that this current version of me is feeling. So I definitely miss that comfortability, but I'm actively choosing this uncomfortability so that I can get to a place where I feel comfortable again. And a lot of people won't choose that path. A lot of people will choose to be comfortable still and not want to get uncomfortable for a little bit to get comfortable again. But I've chosen this path because I want to be uncomfortable for a little bit so that I can heal all this shit that I've suppressed for so many years, so that I can get to a place in my life where my baseline is peace again. It's not chaos, where I can get to a baseline where I feel at peace with all the trauma that I've gone through, and not just like continue suppressing it and pushing it down in the back of my mind and forgetting about it, and then smoking and everything's fine for a little bit until I get triggered, and then the cycle just repeating itself. So I feel like personally, I don't miss that version of me, but I do miss her comfortability, and I miss how comfortable she was in life, because I feel like that version of me, she was so comfortable because she wasn't dealing with everything she had gone through. But I am so happy that I'm in this current version of me, because this current version of me does not suppress everything anymore. So, and this current version of me is going through a really uncomfortable time, but I'm going through it so that I can get to a point where I feel comfortable again, and I feel so sure of myself, and I've gone through all the healing that I get to a point where I finally feel at peace and content with everything that I have gone through. So yeah, I feel like that's the best way that I can answer it, because it's kind of like a yes or no, but that's the best way that I can answer it. Okay, so this is going to be my last question, because this video is getting a little bit too long, and I don't want it to be too long for you guys. So this is going to be my last question, but if I did not get to the question that you asked, be sure to write it in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer it in my comments. But if not, I'll be sure to do another Q&A at my 1 year sobriety celebration, so that you guys can have my 1 year update of answering these questions. And maybe at that point I'll have a better perspective on it too, because obviously this is just my perspective at half a year mark. So maybe at my 1 year mark I'll feel different about all of these things. So the last question that I have is, what tools do you use when you are in a social setting where other people smoke? And I definitely wanted to include this one, because I think this one specifically is very important, especially when you don't have anyone around you who is on a sobriety journey with you. So when I started my journey, I had no one who wanted to go sober with me. I was also in a relationship, and my partner, obviously, they were not going sober. The people I lived with, roommates, they were not going sober. So navigating life as that is very difficult, because you feel like you're alone on this journey. And I feel like some people don't feel the same way, especially if they haven't been smoking as long as you have. A lot of people don't have the same mindset where they want to stop smoking, and that's fine. This journey isn't for everyone, but I feel like sometimes that hinders a lot of people from smoking, because it being a social setting thing and you not wanting to stop, especially if people know you as a stoner or someone who smokes all the time, it kind of fucks with your identity a little bit. Especially for me, like I was like, damn, like I'm not smoking anymore. So like whenever my group would like get together and everyone would be smoking, I would just be there like, ooh, like I want to smoke so bad, but I wouldn't do it. So when I started this journey originally, I was by myself on this journey, and I actively chose it because I got to a point where I was like, it's okay that not everyone else sees it the same way I do. But now I'm just going on a tangent. What was your original question? I feel like I just went on a tangent there. What tools do you use? Okay, so the tools that I use, sorry, I was just trying to give you like a little background on like, just in case you're in the headspace where you're a little scared to start this journey, in case no one's doing it with you. But the tools that I use is that I didn't smoke around people at first. At first, I won't lie. At first, I would try to still be the cool friend or the cool girlfriend where I was like, yeah, you can still smoke around me. I'm fine. It doesn't affect me. And it's like, no, babe. Like, even the smell, I'm like, oh, like I just want to partake in it. So don't do that, which is what I'm saying essentially. Like, don't try to be that cool person where you think like you're stronger than your temptation, because you're not. Like at first, like I gave in so many times of me in the past trying to go sober. I gave in so many times because I was not strong enough, especially in the beginning. You are not strong enough for that temptation. So my biggest thing is have that discipline, or not discipline, have that boundary to not surround yourself by it in the beginning. When you get to a point where you feel like you're strong enough to do that, yes, do it. But my biggest mistake, and I want you to learn from my mistake, in the beginning, I would tell people like, oh yeah, it's not that big of a deal if you smoke around me. But the smell alone would it was so difficult for me. And sometimes I would even go to the bathroom for like a second and like really like contain myself, because it's hard. It's really hard. So I feel like that was my biggest mistake, is there would be some moments where I would be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, you can smoke around me, because I didn't want them to change I didn't want anyone to navigate differently because I was different. But that was where my boundary was being crossed, and I wasn't being truthful to myself. So in the beginning, my biggest advice is don't surround yourself by people who are still doing it. And if you are still surrounding yourself by it, just say, hey, I'm going to take a step out while you guys do this, and then I'll just come back in later. Or like just don't surround yourself by it, because you are more likely to do it. And this is coming from someone who did the complete opposite. Like, that was my biggest thing. Like, I regret not being more honest with myself on how difficult it actually made my journey by still being surrounded by it, because I would smell it and I'd be like, ugh, and I would act like I was fine, but internally I was struggling so much because I wanted nothing more than to partake in it. So my biggest advice is don't surround yourself by people who do it, even if, in the sense, don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be around it, especially in the beginning. Obviously, once you get to a place where you feel like you're strong enough to still be around it and not do it, that's different. But at least for me, in the beginning, my biggest advice is, in the beginning, do not surround yourself by it in any form, because you are going to be tempted until you get to the point that you feel like you're strong-minded to not really partake in it. Even if you are tempted, then that's different. But in the beginning, biggest advice, don't do it, because it's a temptation that you might fall for, and you could have easily prevented it by not being surrounded by it. So that's my last question that I have for you guys. So I just want to say thank you so much for all these questions. Once again, let me know if I didn't answer one of your questions. Write it in the comments. I'll be sure to answer it, or I'll answer it in the next update. But I just wanted to say I'm so proud of myself for being 6 months sober, and thank you guys for supporting me on this journey, because this journey has been very difficult. And I have been wanting to share every single part of it, because I genuinely never thought that I would be sober. So being sober for 6 months, half a year after being 9 years consistent of smoking, is very big. And I want to celebrate every single part of that. And a lot of people want to understand that, and that's fine. My big thing is that I want to celebrate small wins, quote unquote small wins, but I see it as big wins now. So for you, if you're on this journey, celebrate your small wins, quote unquote small wins, but it's really a big win, but it might seem small to others, but it is a big win. You being sober for a day, you being sober for a week, you being sober for a month, you being sober for maybe over a year, that is a win. So please be sure to celebrate it, because that's the whole reason why I do my celebration every single month with you guys, because I want to celebrate and people to know this is a celebration. Going a month without my vice is a celebration. No matter what the vice is, this can go for any vice. It is a celebration. So yeah, there's that. But I love you guys so much, and please follow my Instagram and my TikTok so that you guys can keep along with my journey and everything that comes in between. But I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.